on WION The World is One. We are glad you're watching. Thank you for joining us at this hour. I'm Eric Njoka. Let's begin with the headlines.
Witnessed absurd theatrics in the morning from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy.
India slams Pakistan for glorifying terrorism and peddling Kashmir propaganda at the United Nations, accusing its Prime Minister of making absurd claims, demands shutdown of terror camps in Pakistan, saying it won't bow to nuclear threats. House Democrats released third batch of Jeffrey Epstein's estate records, showing his contacts with figures like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, and Prince Andrew, years after Epstein's conviction. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urges US President Trump in a closed-door meeting to sell Tomahawk missiles to Kyiv to increase pressure on Russia to end the war. Trump is said to be open to the request.
Israel will not allow you to shove a terror state down our throats. We will not commit national suicide. The resolve of Israel and the strength of Israel burn brighter than ever.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to block a Palestinian state, accusing European leaders of pushing Israel into national suicide and rewarding Hamas. Dozens of delegates staged a walkout during his speech at the United Nations.
By ignoring facts, spreading false claims, misrepresenting Iran's peaceful program, and blocking diplomacy, they have actively and intently paved the way for dangerous escalation.
Britain's United Nations envoy says United Nations sanctions on Iran are set to be reimposed after a Russian and Chinese Security Council resolution to delay them failed, prompting Tehran to warn that the West bears responsibility for any consequences. President Trump praises indictment of ex-FBI Director James Comey, calling him a dirty cop, urging more of his political opponents to face criminal charges. He thanked FBI Director Kash Patel for securing Comey's indictment. New digital ID system to become mandatory for legal employment in the UK as part of efforts to tackle illegal migration. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the scheme would make it harder for people to work illegally. We begin with some breaking news on raw DNA coming from the United Nations, and India has replied to Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's statement at the United Nations General Assembly. Exercising the right of reply, Indian diplomat Petal Galot said that Pakistan must immediately shut down all terrorist camps and hand over wanted terrorists to India if it is sincere about peace with India. Slamming the Prime Minister's speech as absurd theatrics, India said that the Pakistani Prime Minister once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy. However, no degree of drama and no level of lies can conceal the facts. India said that the world saw pictures of terrorists slain in terror complexes by Indian forces during Operation Sindoor. The statement also slammed the Pakistani Prime Minister for advancing a bizarre account of the recent conflict with India.
A picture speaks 1,000 words, and we saw many pictures of terrorists slain in Bahawalpur and Muridke terror complexes by Indian forces during Operation Sindoor. When senior Pakistani military and civilian officials publicly glorify and pay homage to such notorious terrorists, can there be any doubt about the proclivities of this regime? The Prime Minister of Pakistan also advanced a bizarre account of the recent conflict with India. The record on this matter is clear. Till 9th May, Pakistan was threatening more attacks on India. But on 10th May, its military pleaded with us directly for a cessation to the fight.
Gahlot reiterated that India and Pakistan have long agreed that any outstanding issue between them will be addressed bilaterally, adding that there is no room for any third party in that regard. She also said that when terrorism is concerned, India will make no distinction between the terrorists and their sponsors. Let's talk to our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibol, who's now joining us on the phone. Siddhant, what more do we know about India's statement at the United Nations?
Well, a strong statement by the Indian side. It was expected as well, India's right of reply. And India point by point demolished what the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said. Whether it's the Pakistani claims that it has been a victim of terrorism, India clearly said that how Pakistan has been supporting and shielding the resistance front, the terror group which was responsible for the Pahalgam terror attack, and how it hosted Osama bin Laden. Whether it is Pakistani claims of victory, of the so-called victory in the May conflict, India pointed out that if destroyed runways and burnt out hangars look like victory, as Pakistani Prime Minister has claimed, then Pakistan is welcome to enjoy it. And also when it comes to the peace proposal, the Indian side clearly said that if Pakistan wants to have peace with India, it needs to hand over terrorists and shut down the terror camps. But all in all, a clear message that when it comes to terrorism, zero tolerance policy, and when it comes to Pakistan trying to bring in third-party mediation, India restating its claim that India-Pakistani issue are bilateral issues. This is the national consensus.
All right, that is our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibol, giving us details on the India's reply or right to reply to Pakistan at the United Nations General Assembly. Thank you, Siddhant. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave a 45-minute speech at the United Nations General Assembly, vowing to finish the job in Gaza and completely rejecting the recognition of a Palestinian state. Many delegates started staging a walkout as soon as the Prime Minister walked towards the podium. Hamas said the staged walkout depicted Israel's isolation. The Israeli Prime Minister wore a pin with a QR code showing the aftermath of Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. He began his address at a nearly empty assembly with a resolve to finish the job in Gaza and eliminate final remnants of Hamas.
But we're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
Netanyahu also declared that his voice is echoing from the United Nations General Assembly to Gaza via loudspeakers channeled there.
Brave heroes. This is Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking to you live from the United Nations. We have not forgotten you, not even for a second. The people of Israel are with you. We will not falter and we will not rest until we bring all of you home.
The Prime Minister slammed the Western countries like the UK, Canada and France for recognizing a Palestinian state, claiming that Israel will not allow the state to exist within a mile's radius from Jerusalem.
You know what message the leaders who recognize the Palestinian state this week sent to the Palestinians? It's a very clear message. Murdering Jews pays off.
Protesters took to the streets in Times Square during Netanyahu's address, calling for an end to the Gaza war and the release of remaining hostages. Mr. Adrian Calamel is a fellow at Arabian Peninsula Institute and author of forthcoming book on Hezbollah. Is now joining us from New York. Mr. Calamel, good to see you and thank you very much for making time for us today. Two things. First, the walkout and also Netanyahu putting loudspeakers in Gaza. What do you make of that, especially him putting loudspeakers in Gaza?
Well, thank you for having me, Eric, and it's good to see you, and good morning to your viewers. As far as the walkout, I think that was pretty much to be expected. If we look at the last decade, as far as the UN General Assembly and their condemnations, they've condemned Israel 179 times, and during that time, they've condemned Russia a total of just 29 times. And we look at their intervention in Syria, and then what they've done in the Ukraine. You look at Syria under Assad 12 times, but then you get down to countries like Afghanistan under the Taliban rule, once. Algeria, 0 times. China, Uyghur genocide, 0 times. Cuba, 0 times. Hamas, 0 times. Qatar, 0 times. Pakistan, 0 times. So this is what I see is rather morally bankrupt organization, and I'm not surprised that they walked out on Netanyahu. Now, as far as putting the loudspeakers out there, that is a clear broadcasting message to not just the troops, but also to the hostages. I mean, we see this in times when hostages have been taken, helicopters being flown around with loudspeakers saying, you know, we won't forget you, we won't abandon you, we're here to survive, to get you back. And that's, I think, the message. And it's all part of the psychological game with warfare, too, is to let Hamas know that this isn't, you can't end this. We're going to finish you, and we're going to get the hostages back. And it's also to hopefully let the people of Gaza know that this is coming, and to try and get to cover.
Mr. Calamel, let's talk about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's defiance. He has vowed to block a Palestinian state. He's accused European leaders of pushing Israel into national suicide and rewarding Hamas.
Yeah. Well, you got to understand his point. I mean, that's the goal of terrorism. It's to inflict an act upon a civilian population, to inflict mass casualties, and it's a political message, and it's to move the needle one way or another. And this is moving the needle towards Palestinian statehood. This absolutely is it. So now it's saying that absolutely terrorism the way. And let me just put it this way. If we're looking at Jammu Kashmir, this will be the approach that you're going to see coming from Pakistan. We've seen it already, and I should also mention that there was a Hamas leader there, several of them, right before the Pahalgam terror attacks. All right, so expect to see this playbook used in disputed territories such as this. So it's a dangerous precedent to set, and I understand where Netanyahu is completely coming from. They've said diplomacy is not the way, it's through terrorism.
All right, Mr. Adrian Calamel, it's good to see you. We'll have to end it there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you, Eric.
Countries on EU's eastern border are planning to create a wall of an anti-drone defenses to protect themselves against Russian incursions. This comes as Ukraine reportedly requested US President to provide them Tomahawk missiles to pressure Putin into peace negotiations. According to a report in Wall Street Journal, during a meeting between Trump and Zelensky along the sidelines of the UNGA, President Trump told Ukraine President Zelensky he was open to lifting restrictions on Kyiv's use of American-made long-range weapons to strike inside Russia. he did not commit to doing so. According to a report in The Telegraph, Zelensky requested Tomahawk missiles in a closed-door meeting with Trump. The long-range cruise missiles would put Moscow in range of Kyiv's strikes. Ukrainian President Zelensky criticized NATO's response to Russian airspace violations as weak and agreed with Trump's stance on taking down Russian aircraft that violate NATO airspace. He acknowledged that some NATO members fear Russia's potential retaliation and emphasized the need for a united front against Russian aggression.
So you agree with President Trump that NATO members should just shoot down the drones, shoot down the Russian jets?
They had to shoot down everything. If the jets are in your space, you have to block it.
Do you think that NATO members are just afraid to do it because they afraid from the Russian response?
I know some leaders, they are not afraid, but mostly countries afraid. They're afraid is because I think that they are right that Russia is crazy.
Yeah.
For today, they are crazy. That's why they are.
Zelensky said that several reconnaissance drones violated Ukrainian airspace along the border with Hungary, ordering a full investigation. He instructed the military to respond accordingly, highlighting Ukraine's expertise in defending against drones. Meanwhile, 10 EU states have agreed to create a drone wall on the eastern border to counter Russian incursions. This decision follows recent drone breaches in Poland and Denmark, highlighting the need for enhanced defense measures.
An immediate priority for drone wall, which with advanced detection, which really we lack in some places, tracking of drones and interception capabilities of drones, ground wall with anti-mobility systems, maritime security for the Baltic and Black Sea, and space-based situational awareness, which is also very much needed. We can see in battlefields of Ukraine, drone interceptors now are becoming very, very effective. Those capabilities are also growing very rapidly, and we need to look also how we can build those capacities in our defense lines.
In Denmark, eyewitnesses captured video of a mysterious light moving across the sky near Aalborg, which was closed for a second night due to suspected drone activity. The incident is part of a series of unexplained drone sightings that have affected several airports in Denmark. Despite speculation about Russian involvement, Moscow has denied any connection. Denmark's foreign minister stated that there is no plan to invoke NATO's Article 4 clause for security consultations. French paratroopers had participated in a rapid deployment drill in Estonia as part of the multinational military exercise PICNE. The exercise, led by the Estonian Defence Forces and NATO allies, including the UK, US, Latvia and Canada, aims to practice rapid deployment of allied units to Estonian territory and repulsion of potential enemies. President Trump cheered the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey as justice in America. Now he wants more. He has called for more of his political opponents to face criminal charges. Democrats say the indictment is the latest sign Trump is turning justice system into weapons to silence critics. Comey has been indicted on charges related to allegedly lying to Congress 5 years ago during a hearing on the FBI's investigation into Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Comey claims he's paying the price of standing up to Trump. When asked about Comey's indictment, the president said he's a dirty cop. He then went on to add, frankly, I hope there are others, describing his opponents as corrupt, radical left Democrats.
I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he's worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
The charges against the former FBI chief came days after Trump publicly urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to take action against Comey and others he sees as enemies. They included Letitia James, who as New York's state prosecutor brought a civil fraud case against Trump, and California Senator Adam Schiff, who led the prosecution at the president's first impeachment in 2019. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche denied that Trump's comments had pressured Bondi or the Department of Justice. Current FBI Chief Kash Patel also denied accusations from Democrats that the Comey charges were politicized, calling them hypocrisy on steroids. Trump thanked Patel for his role in securing the indictment of Comey. The charges were filed in the Eastern District of Virginia only after Eric Siebert was forced out as U.S. attorney for reportedly finding no grounds to indict Comey. He replaced him with a Trump loyalist, and shortly after, a grand jury indicted Comey. Democrats are saying that Comey's indictment was flawed and an example of Trump's retribution. Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said that in the indictment is the latest sign that the president is making good on his promise to turn the justice system into a weapon for punishing and even silencing his critics. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff said on X he had never witnessed such a blatant abuse of the Justice Department, calling it little more than an arm of the president's retribution campaign. And for the latest, our correspondent Susan Tairani has sent us this report from New York.
President Trump on Friday praised the Justice Department's indictment of James Comey and suggested the former FBI director may not be the last of his political enemies to be charged, although he denied having a list of targets. He said it's about justice and not revenge. He indicated that Comey was one of the worst offenders of using the Justice Department for politicization. Democrats are coming to Comey's defense. Top Democrat Dick Durbin raged against the quote-unquote politically corrupt indictment of the former FBI director. Trump's administration is also probing former National Security Advisor John Bolton over classified material and has investigated New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. Susan Tahrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
There is a fresh legal trouble for South Korea's ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol. As the first trial formally begins, Yoon is facing additional charges. Appearing at the opening of his first trial, the 64-year-old ousted leader wore a badge marked 3617, which is his inmate number. In the video, Yoon Suk-yeol also appears to be visibly thinner. Prosecution has additionally charged the ex-president with obstructing official duties and abuse of power. Both charges are in connection with the martial law debacle that unfolded in December last year and triggered months of political chaos in South Korea. The case being heard at Seoul Central District Court hinges on accusations that Yoon Suk-yeol interfered with the execution of an arrest warrant and violated cabinet members' rights during the declaration of emergency rule. Yoon Suk-yeol landed in serious legal and administrative trouble after he called for martial law in the country in his capacity as then president. While the order barely lasted moments before it was revoked, South Korea plunged into major chaos and months-long protests gripped the country. Time now for Wild DNA Sports. Spanish football legend Sergio Busquets has announced that he will retire from the sport at the end of the season. Busquets won it all at both club and international level, including the World Cup with Spain in 2010. Busquets is now 38 and plays with former Inter Miami teammate at the Inter Miami in the MLS. The midfielder has been at Inter since 2023. He confirmed his decision with a statement. He said, and I quote, "I feel like the time has come to say goodbye to my career as a professional footballer. It's been almost 20 years of enjoying this incredible story I always dreamed of. I'm retiring very happy, proud, fulfilled, and above all, grateful." Busquets Will be remembered for his time at Barcelona in Spain. Busquets excelled as a holding midfielder and was widely regarded as among the best in his position during his time at Barcelona. He won 32 major honors in 18 years with the club, including 9 La Liga titles and 3 Champions Leagues. At international level, he made 143 appearances for Spain, which makes him the 3rd highest capped player for the Spaniards. He also captained the side during the 2022 World Cup, after which he announced his retirement from Spain duty. The highlight of his international career came in 2010 when he was a key part of the side that won the World Cup in South Africa. He also won the European Championship in 2012. Thank you for watching this Saturday's edition of Wild DNA on WION World is One. Stay with us.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
As Bollywood biggies take the legal route, we decode what the protection of personality rights entails. Know all about the actors who are trying their hand at direction. And meet Rachel Lee Goldenberg, the director of Swipe. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times. Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is WION World is One. We're glad you're watching. I'm Eric Njoka. Our top stories at this hour.
Mr. President, this assembly witnessed absurd theatrics in the morning from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy.
India slams Pakistan for glorifying terrorism and peddling Kashmir propaganda at the United Nations, accusing its Prime Minister of making absurd claims. It has demanded shutdown of terror camps in Pakistan, saying it will not bow to nuclear threats. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un orders all available resources to be focused on strengthening the country's nuclear program, aiming to sharpen the nuclear shield and sword to protect national sovereignty and security. House Democrats release third batch of Jeffrey Epstein's estate records, showing his contact with figures like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, and Prince Andrew years after Epstein's conviction. Ukrainian President Zelensky urges President Trump in a closed-door meeting to sell Tomahawk missiles to Kyiv to increase pressure on Russia to end the war. Trump is said to be open to the request.
Israel will not allow you to shove a terror state down our throats. We will not commit national suicide. The resolve of Israel and the strength of Israel burn brighter than ever.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to block a Palestinian state, accusing European leaders of pushing Israel into national suicide and rewarding Hamas. Dozens of delegates stage a walkout during his speech at the United Nations. U.S. State Department says it will revoke the visa issued to Colombian President Gustavo Petro after he took part in pro-Palestine protests calling for U.S. Army soldiers to